Yeah, so we're going to start August 3rd, and we're going to have 2 days of helmets, a couple days of shells, take Sunday off, then come back with shells. And the rules this year, allow us to have it's 9 in pads, 9 in shells, and then 7 helmet practices. That's a little bit different. So we just had to kind of put that together. I think the big stretch for us is going to be those 2 weeks, from I think it's August 9th to like the 21st. Those are 2 real big weeks for us in there. No, I think we're okay. I just think that, at this point it doesn't really matter. But I think the padded practices and the shell practices, to me, what's the difference between putting on your helmet, shoulder pads, and then having, your pads from, in the lower extremities. It's just safer to me. So I think it would make a little bit more sense if we were, had 18 in pads and then 7 in helmets. But it is what it is, and we'll make it work.
Right next to Austin on the left, Dave.
I asked you about the interior of your offensive line today. I just want to ask a follow-up about that. Is it safe to say, I know it's been in conversations, is it safe to say it's Gary's job to establish the center and Matt Jones' job to score guard spots, or how would you say?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, those guys are all going to compete, and we'll see. These things find a way to kind of work themselves out. So we're going to give guys a lot of reps and let them go. But no, I can't sit here and tell you I think that there's an incumbent right now. Those guys have played, and we'll kind of see as we get going. But like I said, it has a way of kind of sorting itself out. Yeah, one thing about Matt is he's very athletic and very talented. So, I mean, if you put 10 clips of film on, he looks like a first-round draft pick. And then there's 10 plays where maybe not as consistent. So he has the ability. It's now, can he continue to stay focused and have consistent play? Because if he can, he could be one of the best offensive linemen, on the team, and certainly even in the conference. I mean, when you talk to the guys on defense, they talk about how heavy Matt's hands are and how athletic he is. And once he gets on you, it's hard to get off of him. So it's like with any offensive lineman, it just, they come on at different times. And so to see some of the reps he had last year did not surprise us. No, he's talented.
Left center, Steven.
I'm not going to put a date on it, but you'd like to have it by the first 2 weeks of the preseason, in a perfect world, so that you could start to get them the reps ready to play in that first game. But even still, we're still going to spread the reps around because, like I said earlier today, there's going to be 3 guys in this thing all the way to January, or as long as we can play. So, but I guess if you're looking for a kind of a ballpark, it'd probably be about 2 weeks into camp. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what this is going to look like moving forward. If I did, I'd probably sleep a little better right now, but I don't know. And I know that we want to have that room be around for 2 to 3 to 4 years so that we can have experience as we head into December and January, because that's one of the things we haven't had. We've had really good quarterback play in Dwayne and Justin, but not a lot of experience where, it's a third-year starter. We had that with JT, and that was great, but we're trying to get that again.
Right next door, Bill.
I mean, it's even to me. We'll see how these last few months the guys have changed. I mean, I think they've all done a really good job with Mick. Their bodies look like they've changed. They've gotten stronger. They've gotten faster. So we'll have a better idea again once we get on the field and start practicing. But we kind of look at the spring practice as 15 practices, and then practice 1 of preseason is like practice 16 in a body of work. So, but I'm interested to see what they look like as they come out. Yeah. I mean, we're going to play the best player, and that's what it's going to come down to. But I hear what you're saying, and we'll kind of figure that out as we go. I don't know if it's going to be as easy as just saying, okay, here's the starting quarterback, and he's our guy for 3 years. I'd like to think that's going to be the case, but my experience tells me that's not going to be the case. So that's the unknown of this season for sure.
Yeah. Right in the front row, Clay.
How many running backs could you play? I know the pair is spare.
Yep.
Trayvion's going to get on the field. Lyon's going to get on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can play. You can probably play three running backs. I think when you start getting a little bit more than that, it's hard. But again, it's a long season, and these guys are going to have an opportunity to play based on again what happens over the next couple of weeks. But I don't think you can really play more than 3 because then you can't get yourself into a rhythm. And then maybe a little bit more situational if that's what we find. Some guys do a little bit better on 3rd down, short yardage, those type of things. I mean, he's the incumbent coming in for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's got the biggest body of work, and he's done a really good job for us. And so yeah, I'd say right now as we head in. Now, he didn't do really anything in the spring, so I think he's healthy as we head into preseason, which is great, and we'll go from there.
Right next door, gentleman in the blue.
Hi, Coach Matt Kennedy, Minnesota Katy. You guys taking a deep dive into Minnesota Knows things. What do you have? What jumps out to you?
I think they don't turn the ball over. They're physical up front. The running back runs hard. The quarterback keeps them on schedule. Very sound on defense, and they don't give you any games. Last year was very difficult to try to make sense of because of all the different interruptions that they had and people that were out and the COVID situation. And so because of that, I don't think you put all that much into last season. We really look back to 19. That's probably the best picture of what they look like, and so we'll go off of that. But yeah, I think that they control the ball well. They don't turn it over. They make you earn everything that you get.
When you play in a loud environment, Minneapolis, it's going to be a sold-out arena. Are you nervous at all playing C.J. Stroud or Jack Miller?
Yeah, we're nervous about playing in any game right now with a young quarterback, especially one that hasn't thrown a college pass. So. Yeah, there'll be a lot of sleepless nights as we head into that first game.
What keys in that game in particular do you want to make?
Well, we got to be physical. We got to take care of the football, and we got to have to tackle really well in that game. If runs go for 3-4 yards that turn into 7 and 8, that's when we start running into an issue. So, it's the fundamental things in a first game that we got to really do a good job of.
In the far back, the recently engaged cameraman from Channel 6.
Yeah, he's come in. He's he's in a situation where he's paying his own way that right now this summer. He's looking to gain eligibility from the NCAA that we'll probably find out in the next couple of weeks. And then once we get that ruling, we'll kind of go from there.
Right in the middle, Spencer.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of it has to do with experience. But when you look now, you have Haskell coming back. You have Antoine Jackson had a really good offseason. Jerron Cage has brought some veteran presence there. Teron Vincent's in there. Ty Hamilton hasn't played a lot of football, but he's now, in year 2. And then we have a couple young guys in there as well with Tyleek Williams and Mike Hall, who just got into town. So that is as deep as we've had there and as veteran as we've had. So we feel much better right now than we did at this time last year. And but vice versa at the linebacker level, a lot of unknown there. Lost 4 really good players and have to replace them. But the good news about that position is Dallas, Taraja, and Kayvon have been in the program for a while now. So, they're right in line. So now they just need to take the next step. And then, some of those younger guys have an opportunity to come in and make an impact as well. Cody and Tommy and even Reed. So, we'll see. But that's kind of the unknown, just like the defensive tackle was last year. I mean, I think it can take some pressure off of them for sure, and that's where when you have the depth and you have the experience up front, hopefully that can take a little pressure off of those guys. And then the secondary's got to play a veteran as well. If you have the secondary playing better with Proc and Lathan and some of those guys at safety, then and the guys playing better up front, then again it's less stress on that unit.
And the young lady in the back left center.
Well, I think it's one of those big game changers that have happened in college football. I mentioned it earlier today that college football has been through a lot of change, certainly in the last year, and that's a big one. I think that what it's forcing coaches to do is be really transparent in recruiting and over communicate. I think it's inevitable that some guys are going to leave programs and go other places. But I think if you set the expectations on the front end of exactly what it's going to be, it gives you the best chance to keep your team intact. And I think if you look at, we've had guys who have left and we've taken some guys as well. But I think when you look at our program, we've been as solid as most. And we haven't had that many guys leave when you look at the numbers of it all, and we're proud of that.
Second row right, Rob.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that might have been a piece of the puzzle, but I think I'm really pleased with where that's at right now. I think we have the secondary surrounded. I think Kerry really likes the role now of being the coordinator. And like you said, he's very relational and very, motivation based and high energy. And so I'm excited to see these guys play this year. I am. I think that the depth that we've created in the back end is strong, and I'm pleased right now with where they're at now. They got to go out and play and do it, but we'll see.
Right in front, Joey.
Yeah, that was, what we wanted to make sure was in that room with 2 new specialists. We had Jesse come in, and he's going to handle the punting. And then Jake, we wanted to make sure that we had that solidified. We may be in some situations this year with a young quarterback where a kick on a field may come down to a field goal. And that and the kickoff issues that we had a little bit last year was something where we had an extra scholarship. And, we wanted to make sure that, we were doing our part and making sure we weren't short in that situation as we head into the season or even late into the fall. So Noah's come in and done a great job and understands the situation. Hopefully he can help us.
Middle sitting, Nathan.
Yeah, all those guys should be ready to go for the first day of practice. I mean, no, I'm not resigning myself to that, but knowing that may happen, that's kind of the way it goes. It's almost like now it's like free agency in the NFL. Guys can go different places, and I guess you can worry about it and stress about it, but, or you can just embrace it and try to do the best you can to manage it, and that's what we're doing.
Over here to the right, Tim.
I mean, yeah, I think that there's been a target on the back of Ohio State for a long time since I've been here, and that's continued to be the case, and that's a good thing, obviously, that you want to get everyone's best shot, but that means you got to bring it week in and week out, and I've been on the other side of that and felt what that's like when you don't bring it every week, but this is a hard conference and some really good coaches and really good teams, and so you got to bring it week in and week out here, and if you don't, you put yourself at risk. So, but yes, yeah, we definitely feel that, and this year is going to be no different. It is. It is. There's a balance, though, I think, Tim, that, talent is one thing, but you also have to have a level of maturity with your team. I thought we struck that balance the last couple of years. We had some really good leadership, fifth-year seniors, Jonathan Cooper, when Terry McLaurin was here, Justin Hilliard, even C.J. Saunders didn't play much, but he was a veteran presence in that locker room. And, I'm hoping that we have some of those guys this year. But when you combine that with young talent, I think that's the recipe at Ohio State. If you go too young, like right now, we have 45 first and second year players on our team that really haven't played a lot of football at all. And that's scary because although they're talented, they haven't played a lot of football. And so eventually they're going to become good football players. But how quickly can we get them to that point without having a spring football season last year, missing 1,000 reps last year with 6 games, and now as we head into that year. So it's that balance that you're looking for of the young, talented guys. But a lot of those guys, they leave in their 3rd and 4th year. They don't get to see that 5th year. So, great example of that is this team we're playing in Minnesota. I mean, they have 5th years all over the place. They have a lot of veteran guys that have played a lot of football, and so that's the balance you try to find.
Right next to Tim, Doug, over to the right.
I mean, I think that if New Hampshire came into the league, that we would all be in trouble because there's some really good football players there. So, but I do think, and I'll give him a little shout out. The head coach there, Sean McDonald, has been through a couple tough years, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play this year because he's a very, very good friend and a great coach. So. Spent a little time with him this summer, and looking forward to see the Wildcats back out there this fall.
All this stuff that's going on, do you think it could affect your football? Like where teams are moving and how you recruit, or what's the possible effect on your program?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so much change right now. I honestly can't tell you which way's up. I can't to sit here and tell you. With one-time transfer, name, image, and likeness, the Alston case, with talk about CFP expansion, talk about realignment. It's like, wow, there's just so many things right now that we may wake up in 5 years and not recognize college football. It's just there's so many giant things that are going on right now. So to answer your question, I think it could affect all of us. All of these things can. To know what those things are going to be, I can't answer that right now, but I know that there's just been a lot of change, and it feels like a whirlwind sometimes.
Front row right, Jack.
Paris Johnson's kind of a renaissance man of sorts with his writing career and stuff he does with his foundation. What's he like to coach, and what is the value of having somebody like him in your life?
Very, very impressed with Paris Johnson. Through the recruiting process, his mom, Monica, has been excellent. Sister Sydney. They were a pleasure to recruit, and even now that he's here, he's even better than we thought he would be as a young man. He's moved from tackle to guard, really unselfish move. Like you said, he does work with his foundation, has an impact on people. He's already shown leadership, and we're very blessed to have him part of the program, and his best football is certainly ahead of him.
Right next door, Jacob.
Hey Ryan, just before you two start practices, how important is this summer right now?
Yeah, it's been very, very important. I mean, really, really important. Our guys had never been through all that before. I mean, when you raise the hand on how many guys had been through a summer workout with Mick Marotti, there wasn't that many guys. So a lot of their bodies have changed. You've probably seen some of that on social media. They put on a bunch of weight. They've been working really hard. So physically, that's been big. But more importantly, it's the leadership and accountability and finding ways to create conflict and show leadership, because the first time that happens in a game when we go down a score or something adverse happens, we need guys to step up in a leadership role. Like, that can't be the first time. And so Mick does a great job of kind of create those type of situations. We'll do that in preseason, because in the end, that's what wins championships, is that leadership. And so there's nobody better in the business than Mick. Mick, I say this to everybody, he takes all the sports science stuff, which we've been doing for a long time at Ohio State. That was there before I got there with Coach Meyer, and all the different sports science and GPS and hydration and all the statistics that we do. But he combines that with an old school work ethic. We're holding guys accountable, where if we say get behind a line, you have to be behind the line. If we say finish through the cone, you have to finish through the cone +2. If you don't, you have to do it again. That's, to me, the key to a great strength and conditioning program, and that's why Mick's been so great.
Over to the right, Tony.
Ryan, I know there's no such thing as ideal situations, but your offense, your skill positions, your offensive line, what's that ideal situation for a new quarterback?
Well, I think, like you said, we have the pieces around him where if he takes care of the football and makes the routine plays routinely, he's got a chance to be successful in this offense right now. And that's the idea, because, when you look at the guys that are around him and the surrounding cast, it's got a chance to be pretty good. So, like you said, I think it's an exciting situation for those guys to be able to play in.
What should we expect from Court Williams?
Cord is another special young man. Cord's been through a lot. He's a very thoughtful, hard-working guy. I think if you said who's the hardest working guy in our building, a good portion of our team would say Court Williams. He's there sometimes he's there at 5:30 in the morning, and I go home at night, he's still there. He's unbelievable. His work ethic, the way he's rehabbed his knee. We're all dying to see him get on the field and play this year. He's a safety right now. Yep.
Over to the right, Dan.
Ryan, we haven't talked to you since the college football playoffs said it's looking to expand to 12 teams. I'm curious, what's your perspective on that? Do you think it's good or bad for the sport? Is it good or bad for Ohio State?
Yeah, I think that the winner of our conference in the Big Ten should play in the playoff. Now, what that means, kind of leave it up to the experts. I don't know if 12 is the right number. I don't have enough time to figure all that out. I'm trying to beat Minnesota. But I think the things to consider are the number of games, certainly. When you're talking about 18 and 22-year-olds, the wear and tear on the body, we have to be smart about that. We've got to be smart about the venues and where we play. I certainly, would love to host, the University of Miami, on December 13th in the Horseshoe and 20-degree weather, but I'm not sure that's the best experience for our student athletes. I don't know. Those are things to be worked out. But I do think, again, going back to all the changes that have happened in college football, we really need to be smart about the balance between staying up with the times, because there have been a lot of changes, and making sure that we're being proactive about these changes, but also making sure that we're not making so many changes that we wake up one day and don't recognize the game. So it's that balance that I think that we all need to, be sensitive to.
You think would change the way you guys approach a season if it was a 12-team playoff instead of a 14-team playoff?
Well, it would, yeah, for sure. Like, you think about this season, we open up and we were to lose to Minnesota and Oregon, the whole season's ruined. In that scenario, you could run the table and win the national championship, because all you got to do is win the conference and you're in. So very, very different approach. So we'll see if it gets to that.
And just to follow up about Steel Chambers, you mentioned earlier he can play either running back or linebacker. Just kind of what made you guys decide to take that approach with him of having him cross-train in two positions?
He's had a really good offseason. He's very conscientious, really talented. And, we talked about some of this in recruiting. This isn't something that's new. And in the end, we're going to leave it up to him. I think that if he wants to stick with running back, then he should stick with running back. If he thinks he can make an impact at linebacker, which, Coach Washington seems to think that, he's got the skill set to do it, then let's go do that too. But certainly not going to force it on him, whatever he thinks is best. But I think he's got a chance to be good at either.
Going to move over over to the left again, sitting down. Bill?
Ryan, you guys lost to Clemson in 19. I'm wondering if losing to Alabama the way you did last year sits similarly with the guys who last year. So that game was if it doesn't quite frame your season the same way that.
Yeah, the latter. Yeah, the latter. Yeah, the other one just hit different. This one was, like you said, just the whole thing was weird. So we're not gonna, spend our time worrying about trying to win the national championship because we got some big games early in the season, with a young quarterback, and so that's where the focus has been. It's not like, hey, let's get back to the national championship. There's gonna be no championship if we don't win these games here in the regular season because we got a long 12-game season. Most of these guys haven't played a 12-game season, so. That's been the focus. Now, I think if we do get back into the championship season, it'll pay dividends, and we start to get down the road and we start to win some games, then all of a sudden I think now maybe some of those experiences will pay off for us. But, shoot, we got to get there first.
On the quarterbacks, last year when 2 times I think Justin had to go out because he got nicked up, and CJ came in and he just handed the ball off and there was 2 snaps. Is there anything to read it? Like, did he do anything to put himself in that position to be the guy that went in for an emergency snap?
No, I mean, I think maybe at that time, maybe he had a better week of practice, and we decided to do that. If maybe we had 2 series, we would have switched it up between the 2 guys. But no, there was not much there.
Right behind Patrick?
Ryan, we were talking to Jeremy earlier. He talked about the importance last year of the 2 tight ends. You talked about that before. But you obviously have so many wide receivers who want to get on the field, want to get the catches. How do you balance that approach of wanting to get both of those things into your offense? Using young guys, obviously, how do you kind of balance that?
Yeah, what we do year in and year out is try to figure out who our best personnel is to attack. And last year, Luke and Ruck, and that was pretty good, and so this year, depending on how Cade and how Mitch Rossi and G. Scott, G made the move to tight end, Joe Royer, how some of these guys develop, and if they're ready to go, then let's go. But like you said, we're also very talented at receiver, so if there's a schematic advantage, we'll do that. But a lot of times we just want to get the best players on the field that give us the best chance to win, and then there's always enough plays that we can come up with to give us the best chance to move the football down the field.
Over here to the right.
Zach Harrison, Ohio State University. As we all know that Jeremy Rucker is only here because Chris Olave couldn't make it. So I was wondering if you could give us some insight to how you're going to get Jeremy involved in the offense this coming season.
That's a very good question, Mr. Harrison. So I just met with former tight end, number 88, Ben Hartstock. And I apparently, and I didn't know this, he's the leading receiver in Ohio State history at tight end. Is that right, Jerry?
Yes.
That's what he said, with 30 catches. So I left that and said that record has no chance this year. So we got to make sure that we get Jeremy at least 31 receptions.
And then follow-up, have you considered moving Jeremy to left tackle because all he does is
There's a guy on our team named Zach Harrison who actually played some wide receiver in high school, and now he moved to defensive end. So maybe in a tight end set, like down in the goal line, we might be able to throw him in a tight end and throw him a pass down there in the end zone.
I like that answer. Thank you.
Middle center, Brendan.
Talking about a lot of the changing landscape in college football. I know you can't control it. I know you got to embrace it. Like it, and how is the competitive advantage? And maybe the better question is, what is your competitive advantage in a landscape that things are changing?
No, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like a lot of change, but you have to embrace it. I think there's a lot of good things going on, don't get me wrong, but when there's so many changes, you feel like you drive with no brakes, and it's just something you try to get used to. I guess that's the world of college football right now, and you just have to manage it the best you can. It's nice to know what's coming next, and I just feel like year in and year out, you just don't know what's coming next. And what was the second part of the question?
Just going to say separate from that, the idea that put 5 guys on the floor, you got a clean slate, it's a new year, it's a new team. What do you enjoy about this time of year, your chance to try to build something specific to 2020?
Yeah, that's just it. And I think that's the beauty about college football is trying to find what this team looks like and finding the right pieces to put in place and putting the best players on the field to be successful, and then finding the guys that you think are going to develop as the season goes on and invest in those guys. You think about the way Chris Olave came on as a freshman and made a bunch of those plays, and even Garrett the next year, where they kind of early on they're just okay, but by the end of the year they're really helping you win championships. And the way Lathan Ransom came on late in the season last year, the way Zach came on as a young player in his freshman year. So I think that's a big part of it, projecting some of the young guys out, but finding what it's going to look like. Because year in and year out, it's not going to look the same. It hasn't since we've been here. It always looks, it's not drastically different, but different enough. And those are the differences that help you win championships.
Right behind him, Mark.
Going back to the linebacker situation, specifically Downs, Dan, given he's missed 2 straight springs due to COVID injuries, players like that, is the mental reps really important for him?
Yeah, but I think you get a saturation point on mental reps. I think for certain it helps, but then there's just got to be a point where you have to play the game. And I'll go off on a little bit of a tangent on this. I think about my son. He's 13 years old, and I see the kids at that age, whether it's baseball, basketball, lacrosse, any of those sports that the kids play nowadays, soccer. They play a million games. I mean, they play three in a day, 6 on a weekend, and they're just constantly playing the game. You don't do that in football. You don't play the game of football. Sure, they're 7-on-7 and working out and lifting weights, but when do you actually play the game? And so when guys get here, they might be really, really talented, but if they're not actually physically taking the reps, they're at a disadvantage. So I think that's why you see some guys go on and play really, really well as fifth-year seniors, and they go on to the NFL, and maybe they're not highly recruited, but they know how to play the game. And some of those guys survive in the NFL for long periods of time because they understand how to play the game. They can anticipate as opposed to react. And so, yeah, the more physical reps these guys can get, the better. And that's a big emphasis for us in the preseason right now for us. I mean, yeah, those guys got to go play. They've been in the program now for 3 years, and we got some really good, talented young guys. So, yeah, you wish you had a sure thing, but they're going to do great, and we'll find the right guys.
Front row middle, Jeremy.
Before actually getting to my actual question, talking about Ohio a lot, I was about to play.
Yeah.
How important is it that you guys advocate for giving these kids the chance to get more? You look at kids in Texas or Florida, they come in much more developed than the kids in Ohio. Urban was a big voice for that. Do you have an opinion on what Ohio should be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's close to happening. It's something I've been a big part of, and meeting with the Ohio High School Association and the great people who are there, and I think it's being pushed for very, very strongly to have some spring football. We were about to get it done. I don't want to speak for the people there, but once COVID hit, it kind of got put on the back burner. Now it's kind of back up on the front burner again. And then there's also been a lot of conversation about 7-on-7, which I believe is something that we need to get going in the state of Ohio, like yesterday, for all those reasons.
So, talking about all the changes coming and the balance that you need to strike. As a coach of Ohio State, you have to advocate for the Big Ten and for Ohio State.
Yep.
You have to switch gears and say, Ohio State needs this to happen. Some of the other teams in the Big Ten may be asking for something else. You guys are the voice of the room. Has it been challenging to not assert that on the last year?
Well, I think one thing that is clear is that the Big Ten wants to win a national championship, and so every school in the Big Ten, that's their goal as well. I know, but I think that we're in great hands. I think that where we're headed here is great. I've had some great conversations with Commissioner Warren, and I think that our goal is to have a team in the Big Ten win the national championship this year, and how do we position all of these institutions to get to that point? And so, but like you said, there's different people coming from different points of view every year, but certainly the best conference in America in the Big Ten is here, and we have a lot of great coaches, a lot of good teams, and it's going to be competitive this year. And I think last year was a little bit different, it was a little funky. But I think you're going to see really good teams this season and some really good games.
Angelique, did I miss you? Did you need a question? Okay, we're gonna right in front of Angelique, Bill.
Well, we you know, when Greg Madison retired, which so much respect for him and his past and you know what he did for us here was unbelievable. You know, we had to kind of restructure some things, and that was big to do. And I think that that part has been addressed. I think that we're in a really good situation there. We have it surrounded, and that was the first step, I think. And the second step was, you know, getting the right depth in place where we can play multiple guys, which we didn't have last year. And then the last one is schematically. You know, how many of these things that happened last year? You know, it's three things. It's either coaching, it's personnel, or it's scheme, and identifying what the issues were. You know, looking at it, you know, I kind of attributed, you know, a little bit all three. You know, and I think that we've addressed all three of those areas. And now when you say, you know, what's your confidence going into the season, it's much higher than it was at this time last year. But now they got to go do it. Now they got to go put it on the field. And not every day is going to be perfect, but I think we're much better than we were certainly leaving last season. Yeah, every year is a big year at Ohio State, and if you don't think it is, try losing a couple games. But and it's year to year. But you know, we understand that, we all know that. But I think that you know, he really has embraced the role of defense coordinator, and I think it fits him really, really well. And he's obviously going to have his hand in every single defensive secondary meeting, and I'm really pleased with where we're at. So you know, we'll see. We've got to go put it on the field, and there'll be growing pains along the way. We still have some young guys in different positions, but again, I'm excited to see where this thing, you know, heads as we go into the first game.
Back row leftish, gentlemen.
Coach, I've interviewed all three of your players. Great kids. I mean,
Thank you.
tremendous, you know, not only athletes on the field, but off.
Thanks for saying that.
Great interviews, and just great people. But here today, we're going to open back up, fans in the stands. Everybody's out. How cool is that to get out and know there's life in college?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it on everybody's face here today. Just excited and really cool to do media day right here in Lucas Oil. I mean, this is a great experience just to be on this field and knowing that the Big Ten championship game and the national championship game is going to be right here. Just neat environment. I think just having everybody out and seeing people face to face. It's been a long time, and so I think everyone's fired up about that. And then knowing that in about a month or so we're going to be playing games with fans, and so certainly a lot of excitement around that. Yeah.
Over to the left, Austin.
Yeah, so yeah, they have decided to move on. You know, Jalen was medical, and then Elijah just decided to retire. But yeah, I mean, it puts us at a little bit of a disadvantage over there. But we can always move some guys back over. DeMario's a little bit of a swing guy. G can kind of move in there. We also have some really talented walk-ons. You know, when you look at Chris Booker and you look at Sam Wiglis, you look at Xavier Johnson. I mean, those are scholarship level players that are going to provide some depth for us this year, and they're going to play.
I guess this might be too deep into the weeds. Want to play 6 or 7 guys? You've got those. Is that the depth part? Is that more about getting through Monday through Friday? Is that the concern?
Well, it's yeah. I think that it's you know, practicing, but then it's when you say getting through the week, kind of that way. But it's getting through the season, because with injuries and different things that come up. So yeah, I think that's. I feel really good about. I don't know if it's 1 through. I don't know how many it is, but we are a couple short there, shorter than we'd like to be. But again, you know, Booker and Wiglis and X, they give us some depth there. They can play, and I mean they're talented. So we feel a little bit better there. Plus the ability to move G back over if we need to, and then also DeMario. Yeah.
And just just as a side note, Elijah and Jalen both did graduate as well. Dave, go ahead.
Ryan, I want to ask you about the linebackers. You talked about Dallas game. The linebackers are one of the three starters, and you also taught backup with Justin Hill. Where are you at with the linebackers? It's an interesting group of some older guys that were highly recruited and some younger guys that were highly recruited. How do you feel about that group?
I mean, I feel like when you talk about those veteran guys of Kayvon, Taraj, and Dallas, I mean, it's year 3 now, so it's about that time, and they got to step up now. They're the next guys in line, and everything leads us to believe they will. And then you have the young guys who are pushing them, and Cody and Tommy and Reed. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody, but am I forgetting any other linebackers? I think that's it. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, they, it's a good group. I think Coach Washington's doing a good job. I wish they had played more. I think if you play 6 more games or we run away with a couple more of those games in the second half, they probably pick up 100 to 200 reps, and you feel a little different and a little more confident going into the season. But we didn't, and so we just got to do a great job this preseason.
On the other side of the ball, what are your expectations for Marvin Harrison?
Marv is, he's very, very impressive. So we'll see. I mean, there's only one football, but he's going to have his share. I mean, he's going to play this year. He's had a really good spring. He's going to have a good preseason. I know he is. He looks great. He's got an unbelievable work ethic, and he's got a chance to be special.
Stay over to the left, Bill.
Ryan, you guys largely attract the best players in the country kind of across the board, but you have taken some swings at some 5-star kind of top offensive tackles the last few years that maybe just got wrong in land. We just wonder what you think of the way that position in particular.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at kind of where we're at there with Thayer, with Nick, with DeWand, you look at Paris Johnson. I mean, I'm just really impressed with the quality of guys we recruited there. I mean, if there's 4 better tackles in America, I'd like to know where they are. And so you can't get them all. You have to understand that, and I'm pretty impressed with how we recruited this past year. Really, some of those young guys have a chance to be really good. And I think with the offensive line, there's a balance there. If we're going to recruit 16 offensive linemen, only 5 can play, you're talking about 11 guys who are not on the field. So some of those guys have to be, the super talented 5 stars, but some of those guys got to develop into being really good offensive linemen because it is a developmental position. So I think we found a good balance there of going to get, some of the top guys in the country, but then also having some guys that maybe aren't as highly recruited that are going to be 4th and 5th year seniors that are going to develop and be strong for us.
I know when guys are getting recruited, where they're eventually going to be selected in the NFL is very important. The program's had one other first-round offensive tackle since Elijah Mason. I know you developed those guys just now, but with Thayer coming out next year and Nick possibly being a first-rounder, Paris in the pipeline, do you think that tide is going to turn a little bit? Maybe we'll have more of those first, second-round tackles that will help
I think so. Like you're saying, it was kind of like what happened when, Dwayne got taken in the first round, and now Justin. I mean, you can really see the momentum swing at quarterback. I think it's going to be the same thing at tackle here in the next couple of years. And the same thing at receiver. Yeah.
Right behind him, Steven.
Yeah, I think we're in great position. I'm really proud of, again, not just the talent, but the quality of people that we're bringing into the program right now. I mean, just really impressed. And it's going to be nice for this class. We're actually going to be able to recruit them the right way. We're going to actually be able to go to their schools. We're going to be able to watch them play basketball. We're going to be able to watch them do spring football. We're going to actually maybe even get out and watch them, see them play a game, go to their high schools, meet their coach, meet the AD. So we're not in a huge rush with that class because we want to do it the right way and go back to recruiting before there was COVID. But, yeah, excited and think we're in a great position. I think they're all highly competitive and elite players. because if you're not really competitive, this isn't the place for you, because you're going to be in a room with other 4- and 5-star players who are highly recruited, and then there'll be some coming behind you too. But that's what they want. They want it hard, so that if they make it here, they can make it anywhere. And they also love the city of Columbus. They love what Ohio State has to offer after football and all the things that come with it. But I think maybe the thing that I noticed the most is, when you look at our roster, it is coast to coast. So we have guys from Florida, we have guys from Texas, guys from California, Hawaii, Seattle, East Coast, is that all of those guys think big. I think the easy thing to do for some of those guys is maybe just go to the school that's maybe down the street, cave into some of the local pressure to stay closer to home. But these guys think big. I think that's probably the one thing, or two things, the competitiveness and the ability to think big, to maybe leave home to go to a place like Ohio State.
Front row middle here.
Hi, Coach. Have you, before your game on September 2nd, have you had any talks with opposing head coach PJ Fleck? What's your relationship with him, and what can you say about the program he's built in Minnesota?
I can't remember the last time I talked to PJ, but I've had very many conversations, spent time with he and his wife and my wife at the Nike trip a couple years ago in Hawaii, and really enjoyed that time. And we talked many times through the COVID and last year, and nothing but the utmost respect for the way he, put his staff together, the way he recruits, the way his team plays, and certainly he's going to have continued success there.
Front row right here, Colin.
How many guys in the class would be willing to, after the February signing day period? I know he's not a guy who I've seen really in person for 18 plus months or so. What made him that kind of guy that
Well, his skill set speaks for itself, but it was his makeup, his family, what people say around the area about who he is as a person. And if he wasn't very, very special, we probably wouldn't have waited like that and shown the patience that we did. But he is special. His family's special, and they did things the right way, and we're very, very happy to have him. I mean, I hope so, but we'll see. He did start late, so he's going to have to pick up the pace. But it's not like he wasn't working out. I mean, he was doing a great job this summer working out. So we'll see. I mean, I think as the year goes on, it's a long year. He'll have opportunity to get out there for sure.
Right behind him, Doug.
Brian, you mentioned earlier the difference between a 14 class and a 12 team. The 12 team you could absorb maybe an early loss.
Right.
In the NFL, if you have a bad week and you lose the regular season, you can still win a Super Bowl. College football is kind of like one bad week might kill you.
Exactly.
Philosophically, which do you like better? Is there one that you think you should be able to have a hiccup and still win it? Or do you like college football is pretty good at least it has been?
No, I like having a little wiggle room in there. Yeah. So, for a lot of reasons. One, for my sleep and my anxiety level, being honest. I mean, you lose a game in the middle, the beginning of the year, you're out, So knowing that maybe if that happens, you can still go on and play in the playoffs would make for a little bit better nights, a little less anxiety. But I also think that for college football, some of those teams who are vying for, let's say it's 12 teams, that 8, 9, 10, 11 in week 8, 9, or 10 of the season, those games all of a sudden become a little bit bigger, where maybe they wouldn't be without that. I think that would be one argument to have that 12 team or even 8 team, playoff.
Middle, Jim.
Coach, I have to circle back to the elephant in the room, still Alabama. Coach Allen referred to us as the gold standard. Are they the gold standard? Do you spend any time thinking about them, or like that being the loss to them of things that we have to try and do that they do maybe better than us? Or don't you spend any time thinking about it?
Oh, no, definitely spend a lot of time. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the job is, benchmarking yourself against other programs, and certainly what Coach Saban has done down there is tremendous, and his success and the way they've done things is remarkable. So, yeah, definitely look at those things and compare and contrast and try to figure out what that means for Ohio State. 2 different schools, 2 different conferences, 2 different areas of the country, 2 different coaching styles. But, yeah, you try to figure out how you can adjust to get back there. I think last year again was a little bit of an anomaly just because of everything that went into the season. So I'm trying not to overreact on it, but certainly, yeah. I mean, they're the team that you want to knock off.
Over here to the right, Tony.
Brian, going back to your playing days in New Hampshire, we had NIL back then. Has there been a spot on campus that was a dream endorsement?
A what?
A dream endorsement back then, your playing days up in campus.
A dream endorsement for me back then was probably the local sub shop. You know, something like that. I don't know what else it would be.
Where's your go-to set?
Chicken parm.
Right next door, Dan.
Ryan, is there anybody who's really stood out to you and what they've been able to do in some workouts?
I think that talking to Coach Mick, he's been very, very impressed with several of our guys. When I ask him who looks the best or who's he the most impressed with, every day he comes back with somebody else. But the ones that have stuck out, certainly Thayer, Zach Harrison, Garrett Wilson has come up several times. I think he's really hit his stride, which is great. Excited about that. Very impressed with Lathan Ransom. But it's kind of the good news is it's somebody different each time. So that's good news. He's talked about Harry Miller a bunch. Said had an unbelievable summer, so that's been great. But right now he's really bullish on this team. Really likes the way that they're working. Very businesslike. Not a lot of problems. Very mature, and I think maybe going through last year is really paying some dividends in that area where we weren't there to push them every day. They had to kind of figure it out. Now that combined with Mick and everything that's going on, it's been good. So all the reports we're getting is very positive.
Those freshmen that have come in this summer, what have you seen from those guys so far? What do you like to see from them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to forget a couple of them, but I think that they've been very, very good. Donovan Jackson's been really impressive. The young corners, J.K. and Jordan, Andre, they've looked really good. Mike Hall's been doing a nice job. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody else that's come in this summer, but all those guys really impressive, work ethic wise. I think they have personality. So you can usually tell when you ask Mick, then you go down to the training room, you ask them, then you get academics, you ask them, and by a while you get a pretty good idea of who they are, and if all three people are talking about how they have great personality and they're doing things the right way and they're mature, they take care of their business, they've really good time management skills. Usually that's a good trend. If you're getting the same kind of thing going the other way, that's usually not a good thing. So you try to ask the different people that they haven't come in contact with. Nutrition, Kayla Olson does a great job. She'll know right away, and all the reports from those guys have been positive.
We're in the final 5 minutes presented by, next up, Tim May.
Brian, where do these three quarterbacks want to knock your socks off the first 2 weeks? What does it take to knock your socks off if you're looking for a starting quarterback?
To knock my socks off, huh?
That's the guy.
Yeah. I don't think you can do that with just one thing. I think it's the consistency, day in and day out. I think when you put the work in the classroom, so that you have the answers when you're on the field, and if you can outwork me or outwork your coach, and ask a question about a piece of film that maybe I didn't see or something like that, that would knock my socks off.
Yeah, Stacey's going to ask you about that. How much would a starting quarterback be worth? And they mentioned like earlier today. But this is a big deal, right? I mean,
Big deal. That's as big as it gets, right? The quarterback at Ohio State. That's as big as it gets. And I know they all appreciate that, but I don't know at that age if they quite can appreciate what this really means, especially with the type of team that we have and the surrounding cast around them. But the guys who invest the most are going to get the most out of it. So how much does it really matter to you? Like you said, do you really realize what it means? And so if you're going to wake up early in the morning and you're going to go to bed late at night and you're going to work really, really hard to figure this out, and this is your life, then a lot of good things are going to happen.
Front row middle, Nathan.
So, as much as you value his versatility, guys like that
I don't know. I mean, I think when you're playing an interior line, the center is the hardest one, and then I think that the guard is an easier transition. But to answer your question about where he's at, we'll know once he starts hitting. But physically, much further ahead than where he was at this point last year, and stronger. So I think with a year under his belt and going through what he did last year, he's going to be much further along and expecting a high level of play.
Right next door, Jeremy.
Dabo Sweeney said a couple years ago that players were they would retire. Is it your position you should retire?
Well, I know this. I know that, again, there's been a lot of change, and that goes to show you how in 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, the whole landscape can change. If someone said to you 3 or 4 years ago, guys are going to make money after the name, image, likeness. They can have one-time transfer, the Alston case, they can make money there. All the things that have come with that. There's going to be an expansion over here. There's going to be all the things that are being talked about. Nobody would believe you, and it's just happening so fast. And so our perspective now and where it was a couple years ago certainly has changed a lot.
Well, that wasn't my real question, but the difference between you guys on the recruiting trail, the decision to not do, for Dabo and Clemson, no official visitors in the summer. You guys have almost 50. What's the difference in philosophy there, and how do you suppose that plays out for you heading into the season?
Yeah, we wanted to get as many of the guys that we were interested in on campus. We hadn't been around them. And, we felt like, these people deserve to be on our campus and get our best shot. And so, we worked really hard. Our staff really worked really hard in June. And I think it's going to pay a lot of dividends. We had a lot of unofficial visitors as well. But we, like you said, we had like 50, I think it was 50 plus official visitors. So hats off to our staff. I mean, we really busted our tail. We really like doing official visits in spring. We really don't like doing them in the season. I think it's very distracting, trying to figure out ways to bring official visitors in during a game. I think it's good to see the atmosphere, but you're not getting the coach's attention. And it's all about relationships. And I think we really hit a home run in some of those areas. Some people we brought in, slam dunk. Other people we brought in, it just wasn't the right fit, and that wasn't right or wrong. It just was what it was. And the more we could get those people in front of us, the better feel we had for building our class.
Just got to have time for a couple more questions. Joey?
We haven't talked much about that other than a lot of it's going to be on social media. So I don't foresee it being too much of an issue in terms of time management. But if the academics and the football aren't in order, then these opportunities aren't going to be there. And so that's got to be the focus. And certainly it can't take away from academics or football. And that'll be made clear.
Question from Spencer.
That's another guy that's had an unbelievable, off season. He's strong. He's healthy again, really, for the first time. He was dealing with that shoulder that kept popping in and out last year, and he got that fixed. He looks great. He's had a really great attitude, been working really hard. So excited to see what he looks like this year. And kind of like you said, I think it's kind of moved on from all that, and now it's just focused on playing this season.
Final two.
I don't know. I mean, I know he's not hanging back in terms of the way he's working right now. I mean, he's busted his tail to play really, really well this year, and we're expecting him to do that. So it'll be fun to see how this season plays out for him.
Got time for one question from Brendan and then one from Clay. Brendan?
I wanted to ask about Julian and Jackson. Just what do you think the next step is for both of them?
I mean, just going out there and playing. They missed 6 games last year, and I think they're gonna. When you're going to be pleased with what you see when they're out there. They're just going to have to compete, and they'll make mistakes, but they put in a good summer. They got to take care of themselves and put in the work. And when you get into a game plan, a lot of work has to be done in the classroom. A lot of work has to be done visualizing the plays, spending time on the field, and working with the quarterback about all the details, the exact splits, the releases, the timing of all those things. And if they take that serious and they put the work in, then they're going to have great seasons.
Over here to Clay.
Might be a question for Jerry. Do you know how many of your players have NIL deals?
Yeah, I don't know that. I actually met with the leadership committee this past week, and several of them said they had a few things, but to put a number on it right now, I don't know exactly what that is.
Bill, did you have one last question?
Last year this time, you wanted to play so much in part because you thought this was a play once in a lifetime potential team. Feel about this team. Do you feel like this? Obviously, Justin Fields a quarterback, but do you feel that level of confidence?
I mean, I don't know. I think that we have a chance to be pretty good. I mean, do I know really right now where we're at? Still a lot of unknowns because a lot of young guys haven't played a lot of football. So I can't sit here and tell you that. I think I have a feeling on where we're at in certain areas, and I think that we have some really talented position groups, but there's several of those that just haven't played a lot. So it's hard to say. But I'm hoping somewhere around mid-season we got a better idea of that, and if it is what we think it is, then we got something special.
You asked about injuries. Cam Brown
Yeah, so Cam Brown should be available, for the first day of practice. He's been looking great. Cam Babb won't be. Yep.
And I'm sorry, I forgot Tom. Tom, go ahead. Yep.
We had a little look at Zach Harrison's personality earlier. They were talking about him as maybe someone who's going to make money vocal this year in front of a lot of football. That's very much not who he was.
Right.
Very private. Is that a reflection of him as a person, confidence in the game? Where does that come from?
Yeah, I think it's being in the program for several years, but also understanding what it means to be a Buckeye in the state of Ohio. He's an Ohio guy who takes a lot of pride in that, and he's the veteran guy in that room who's played a lot of football. With all of those things bring confidence, and like you said, that if you had told me that in recruiting that he would be that way, I wouldn't have believed you. But he has. He stepped up in a big way. When he sees something, he addresses it. He's got a strong voice now, and I think that comes with a lot of confidence. But very, very proud of the leadership that he's shown so far, and when he speaks, people listen.
Great, Coach. Thank you very much. Guys, I got to get him. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to click on that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing, and come visit us over at BuckeyeGrove.com for all the best Ohio State information on the web.